We're live on 23 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, and all across the world on 3news.com. Now, this is a story that's got a lot of you reacting to it, and Ghana has seen a drastic fall in its placement on the World Press Freedom Index. Now, last year, the country placed 30th in the world, but has now dropped 30 places down in 2022, the worst placement recorded in the past 9 years, to 60th amongst 180 countries. That's how the picture looks like. But Portia, clearly, if you're a watcher of this space and you've been paying attention to the happenings over the period, you will not be surprised that we have been downgraded or reduced to this particular point. Because as we speak now, if you look at instances such as what happened to our very own God's Captain Smart, there's been concerns about government being high-handed in handling issues related to journalists and security forces as well. You have Bobby Ansah, who was picked up after his program. You have Captain Smart. You have Caleb Kuda, who was attacked by or manhandled by some national security operatives, and then also the Modern Ghana offices that were raided by national security operatives, and many others. In fact, the murderers of Ahmed Swale are still at large as we speak, and that's also raised a lot of concerns. But take a look at this. This is how the situation really looks like in terms of the rankings now. Specific to Ghana, 2022, 60th, the score 67.3. In 2021, we're 30th, 78.61. Then down to 2019, we're 27th. And you see there 79.19. In 2020, 2021, we maintained the 30th position. In 2018, we were 23rd. So if you look at the last 5 years between 2022 and 2018, there was that appreciation over the period. Down to 2017, you see the 26th position where we are. But take a look at what happened in 2013. 2013 were at the 30th position as well in 2013 with 82.73. Then you see that same 30th position being repeated in 2019 and 2020. We've seen that checkered progression over the period. But this has been described as the worst ranking since 2005. As a matter of fact, in 2005, the country placed 66th at the time. Over the last 17 years, we've been progressing until now that we've seen this sharp and very drastic drop in the rankings. Not too good. These are the countries that are above us. Top 5 African countries. Seychelles. Seychelles now ranks 13th in the world from 52nd in 2021. Look at that improvement there. And then you have Namibia, South Africa, Cape Verde, and then Ivory Coast as well, also seeing very remarkable improvements in their rankings. So this has been a real concern to watchers of this space. And you and I are practitioners. We are major players in this particular space in the media. And if you monitor all the events, many say that you will not be surprised that we've been downgraded this way. But I've been joined via Zoom by Manasseh Zuriawone. He is editor of the Fourth Estate. He is a celebrated investigative journalist who has also been on the receiving end of some of these threats that we're talking about. Manasseh, good evening to you. Now, this Press Freedom Index, 30 places down from last year. We're 60th. What's your reaction to this?
Well, I would have been surprised if we didn't drop. I am a bit surprised by the magnitude of that drop, but I always expected that we were getting worse and worse by the day, despite the denial by government and party officials. But I didn't expect us to perhaps hit 60. Not that I don't think the situation is bad enough to get us there, but I didn't think we would hit there. But to say that I'm surprised that we have dropped significantly is no.
But this is the same ranking that gave us, in fact, one of our best in 2018, if you recall. And we were number 1 on the continent. 4 years down, we've seen this drastic drop. In your view, What could have contributed to what we're experiencing now?
What has contributed, in my view, is that we have a very vindictive regime. And those of us who are practitioners, when we talk about it, there are people who don't want to hear the words as raw as they are. But I have been doing critical reporting since 2013 under the administration of John Mahama. And at the time, I have said on a number of platforms that I never for once had to fear for my life for doing critical reporting. In fact, the day I broke the Mahama Ford story, that night, Dr. Mani Buama offered me police protection, but I felt I was safe enough and I didn't need police protection. I cannot say same for today. Unfortunately, when you talk about it, there are people in government, there are people in the governing party who wants you to shut up. So there are a number of journalists in this country who are even too afraid to talk about their own fears. So as we speak, you've mentioned a number of them. The arrests and the return of the criminal libel law. You left out the case of Mensa Thompson of ASEPA, who said that the presidential jet was used for shopping. The armed forces came out to deny, he retracted and apologized. Yet, he was arrested, detained, and put before court. Now you have people like Elizabeth Ohene, who wrote to the BBC recently, complaining about irresponsible and reprehensible language and utterances. But we also know that the Media Foundation for West Africa has documented some of the vilest statements on radio and in the media. And some of the MPP-affiliated media organizations are guilty of this, but we don't see those attacks going there. So it seems as if these attacks are directed at people and media organizations that are critical of the government. And we know the closure of radio stations, this is what happened.
But clearly, already you've had some reactions from persons associated with government questioning this ranking. But what's the worst that could happen? In your view, what should be the response or reaction to this if this ranking means anything at all for us as a country?
The ranking means a lot, but the good thing about this ranking is that before it came out, we knew our situation, we knew how bad it was. So those who would want to keep defending, it isn't going to help anybody. The politicians who are in government today are likely to be in opposition one day. And normally when they're in opposition, they need a critical media to be able to hold the government accountable. We are in a democracy that is not yet mature enough to provide the needed benefits for the citizenry. So if we're going to have a country that everybody will be asked to shut up, nobody will hold duty bearers accountable, then we are going to get worse. And the ultimate victims are going to be the politicians. God forbid, but if our democracy is turned upside down and the military take over, doctors will still be needed, nurses will be needed, teachers and others will be needed. Where will the politicians be? So if journalists and the media are there to help shape our discourse, hold people accountable, and prevent upheavals that we have seen in countries that didn't have such checks and balances, then any well-meaning politician should be interested in promoting press freedom, because the freedom of the media is the freedom of the politician and the freedom of every Ghanaian. And being in government today does not guarantee that one will stay there forever.
Manasseh, thank you very much for your time this evening. Manasseh Azure-Awuni is editor-in-chief of the Fourth Estate, an investigative journalist himself, and he's been at the receiving end of some of these threats. And look, if you recall and chronicle some of the events over the last 1 year, put it all together, you may obviously not be surprised about this drop in the rankings.
Well, this day indeed is a reminder to government to respect their commitment to press freedom, because journalism is indeed not a crime.
It's not a crime.